hostess with the mostest, Donna Smith, aka Lady D, for those that didn't know. Hey, I had to stop on here today. I'm in the midst of my break, but I hadn't did a live in a minute. I wanted to chit chat with you guys and see what's going on. This communication thing is a must. It's a must with what we doing now. It's a must in your relationships. It's a must at work. You have got to keep the lines of communication open. And what really irks me, and I'm just gonna talk about me personally. I can't speak for everyone else, but what irks me is when communication is one-sided. One-sided. Because we don't always have to agree with one another. We don't have to agree, but you learn to disagree agreeably. Sometimes it's irritating, but you learn to be respectful about the other person not agreeing with your point of view or your stance. But you have to be effectively um, focused on at least hearing the other person out. And sometimes when you're wearing the shoes of wanting to be the one to call the shots, wanting to be the one to set the stage, wanting to be the one to always have something to say, but don't want to hear nobody else's something to say if it ain't jiving with what you feel or what you want to hear, that's not right. That's not right. You can't expect, I come from an era where it's about putting out and giving what you expect in return. So, if you expect one to respect you, if you expect one to give you the stage to talk, you have to allow them to have the stage to talk. What's up, Ravage? What's up? Um, you have to allow them to be able to get their point across. Are you going to always agree with what they said? No. Are you going to always like what they're saying? No. Sometimes you will, sometimes you won't, right? So, when you're dealing with a situation, a relationship, what have you, and there is, oh, thank you, Aaron, and there is no balance with that communication, you feel me? You just don't have the balance at all. Either that person wants to be the talker and you need to be quiet, or they don't want to be the listener because you got some stuff to say too. So every time you want to say it, they shut you down. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to talk about that. Just leave that alone. I don't want to. And so you're left with your ball of everything you want to say. And, you know, hi there. What is this? Sick man. Hey, sick man. What's up? You're left with this volcano inside of you, right? That is ready to explode with things that you have not gotten off your chest. Now, one of the things that really, sorry, y'all, I'm up here. I thought I put my watch on. Yeah, here it is. One of the things that too gets my goat is when there's no closure to the situation. It's just left dangling. You got stuff you didn't get a chance to get off. They got stuff they got off but wasn't pleased with the outcome of it. And then you're just both kind of dangling and there's no resolution, right? You have no resolution. So therefore, if there's no resolution, then it sits and it roots and it starts to take root and grow into these trees, right? So moving along, you get into another squabble. It may be 2 weeks down the line, it may be 3 months, it may be 6 months. And you still got this root that's growing. By then, it's a pretty big tree. So you get your other issues, you know, that's resting upon this tree, and now you got this explosion that occurs. All this stuff comes out that was never really dealt with or solved, resolved, or whatever. And that's why communication is so important. Somebody had to hear this. I needed to touch on this because there's so many people who are dealing in situations where their communication with who they are, feeling and who they are with and who they're married to or dating or love or whatever, the communication is just not there. And so therefore what happens is it pushes people out to communicate with somebody else. Really though. I mean, they may talk to themselves in the mirror. Hey, self, what about what you think? Ooh, you may talk to yourself, but eventually it's going to be somebody that's going to listen. And so, therefore, they go into this situation where they are now talking with another listening ear or ears that will hear them out. And, usually it's some kind of ulterior motive that the other person has. So of course they're gonna listen. They probably ain't even taking in or care about what you talking about, but they gonna listen because they got something they trying to get or do with you, right? So they gonna fake that funk and not keep it real, and they gonna be the pretendist listener. And so, and sometimes that causes people to get an emotional connection with another and start building this, because once you start losing the one you love or the person you with emotionally, when they emotionally connect to somebody else, it's a wrap. You know what I'm saying? It's a wrap because they are now connected to that person in a way that they can share and they can talk about things. And how are you doing, Jameer? Hi, hey, how you doing? I'm doing good. I'm glad everything's good with you too. Just stepping in, talking about a little communication with you guys that is so 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 needed in our relationships and everyday lives. And sometimes it's easier. Women, we're more prone to want to just get it off. We want to get it off our chest. We want to lay it on the table. We want to talk about it. Men don't really want to go into all that. They ain't got time. They ain't got the patience. We're different beasts, but we balance one another. But out of respect and love, a man will at least take in her feelings and consider them and talk to her and be open to, hearing whatever's going on with the person that he is with or dealing with. But I'm here to tell you, with the absence of that communication in your relationship, in your life, not being able to speak up and tell people how you feel. And this goes with friendships too, not just lovers and marriage and all that. But even with friendships, some friends will hold back and not say what they really feel because they don't want to piss off the person that they're friends with. They know they got a temperament and this and that. And that happens in relationships. It's like, um, you know, I don't want to say nothing because it's going to cause an argument and they always right and no matter what, they not hearing me. And so you don't get it out. Like I said, the roots. So when you got your friendships and you got people that you are dealing with on a different type of level that you have to deal with and communicate with, and you are not letting them know how you feel about certain things, then it causes a bridge between, or in the middle of that friendship with that person you have, because there's no foundation of trust and understanding and respect for one another's feelings. And then you start looking at the other person as being totally selfish. One is totally selfish if they're one-sided with their communication, if they are very controlling. And yes, it is controlling when one wants to, you know quiet you from talking, don't want to listen to what you have to say, always want to be the one to say what they say. And if you don't agree with how they saying it or what they saying it, then they don't want to have nothing to talk about or deal with you on that level, and will hold on to grudges. Now, that is a form of some type of control. You want to be able to stay in control of the situation. You want that person to shut up when you say shut up, be quiet when you say be quiet, don't talk about it no more when you say that you don't want to talk about it no more. All of that. And that is not effective communication. No one is in control of the other. No two people have the same feelings, likes, and dislikes about any topic or situation. What hurts one may not hurt the other. The other person is hurt by maybe something you said. You're hurt by something they did that they wouldn't have even saw it as being a hurt, but it hurts you. Okay, so we have to balance that. We have to be on the page of respectfully respecting how others feel. And, you know, it's a tricky situation. People will allow you in their circle and share things with you, and then they'll pull back. They'll give you a little bit and pull back. They'll give you some peanuts and take the rest. So you never really can get fully into connecting with them on that deeper level of communication. And I just, like I said, I had to stop by, do this live, and share that because it's so, 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 so important to have your communication tight, you guys, with everything that you're doing and people that you're dealing with. If you're dealing with one that you cannot reasonably communicate with, or is that not open to effective communication, then perhaps you need to do something different. Because being grown, you cannot make a person do what they don't want to do. Let me say that again. You cannot make a person do what they do not want to do. So if it's in their system, in their heart, in their whole get up that they just don't want to be receptive to changing, to communicating, to acting, in a different kind of, if they're not on that page or zone, baby, you can't fix that. They gotta want to fix that. And that's frustrating. How are you going to get to the next level with somebody? How are you going to get to the next level with someone that you can have, as, excuse the language, communicate with? It's just not going to happen. Not. So I just want y'all to sprinkle y'all with that. Think about it. Think about it. Let it float. Let it marinate. I got to get on up out of here. But thank you for stopping by, like, sharing, and subscribing. Thank you for saying hello. Yeah, Jameer, we cannot fix the problem if we can't out, talk it out without yelling at each other. And that's absolutely true. Um, People, I just want to say this. See, I was getting ready to leave and you didn't kind of tickled something else in me, Jameer. You have got to be able to get to the next level of rectifying an issue or issues without yelling. And see, it's a domino effect. Some, you're talking to somebody, you're trying to be calm, you're trying to come, and then all of a sudden they get to raising their voice and they get to hollering and screaming and they get to cussing and and so what it does is it revs you up. So now you're getting revved up, which you wasn't trying to go there, but it's revving you up. And then next thing you know, you both are disrespecting each other because you both are hot and heated. Or you're hanging up on each other if you're on the phone. Or you not want to see each other for a while. You not want to talk to each other for a while. It just leads to all kinds of other stuff because, like they say, once a drunk, you're drunk, and you say what you really feel, a drunk really says what you gonna think that when that person was mad and raged and they said all those nasty things, they really meant that. They really, really meant that. And they allowed the truth to come out in anger. And then they come out and they want to apologize. I'm sorry, I should have never said that. I should have never did that. I know I choked you and you almost lost your you almost lost your life in the moment because I was choking you like that, but I did let go before you couldn't breathe no more. But you ain't got to worry about that happening again. I ain't going to choke you no more. Next time I'm just going to punch the mess out of you. You see what I'm saying? It it just keeps on adding on to the pile. So, yelling, hollering, and screaming, yes, is a form of abuse. That is abusive, verbal abuse behavior. Yes, it is. Just like the silent treatment is abuse. Hollering and screaming and cussing and fussing at somebody in a disrespectful way is abuse. Laying your hands on a person, threatening a person, all that stuff is abusive. So if you are dealing with someone that's easy to anger, there's no self control with that. So some will go to an extreme level when they're angry and do things they regret, or some will just scare the shish out of you because of their what they're saying and getting up in your face, hollering, cussing, and you know that they're capable of harming you, and so you feel threatened. Look, control, get it together. Sometimes you got to go to anger management, but you got to deal with you before you can deal with anybody else. You got to deal with you before you can deal with anybody else. Okay, thanks, Jameer, for bringing that up. I'll be back at you guys. I'm going to try to tip in tomorrow. I want you to be safe, be careful, love on each other, communicate, respect each other, and I will see you soon, okay? Take care.